we can stop the madness of marijuana prohibition. There are people out there that are in jail today, like Mark Emery. We saw his wife here a little bit ago. He was sentenced yesterday to 5 years simply for selling a seed. And if you go to Malaysia, there are people in Malaysia that are sentenced to death. Just this week, they sentenced a guy to death for just about 3 pounds of marijuana. And there are people already scheduled to hang in Malaysia for 300 grams. I think I'm carrying around about that much right now, you know, so. Anyway, we've got to stop this stuff. You know, people are being incarcerated. It's ruining their lives. We're losing our children. Even medical marijuana patients have to go through hell. You know, in Washington State, the medical marijuana law, just right over there across that river, is just an affirmative defense.
I feel like I'm going to fall backwards.
And you know, that the medical marijuana law is great. It's helped a lot of people. Sick people have an option now. But it's not the solution. It's a step. And what we really want to do is just completely legalize marijuana and hemp. And that's what we're working for. You know, in California, there is a historic vote, Proposition 19. Back in 1974, there was a vote in California that was also called Proposition 19, and coincidentally, it was also a marijuana vote. It was the first marijuana vote, and it got about 40% of the vote back then. But this year's Proposition 19 looks like it's going to win. If we can get our voters out, we will win there. We also have an initiative here in Oregon that will help medical marijuana patients. That's ballot measure 74. One of the chief petitioners was just up here, Anthony Johnson. So we strongly support ballot measure 74. We urge you to get out there and help us get it passed and mobilize and register and vote, because that's really one of the keys here, as we know, in this system, is to register and vote and get our voters out. You know, the polls show that ballot measure 74 here in Oregon can pass by a good majority. But if you go to the list of the people who are likely voters, people who say, yeah, I'm definitely going to vote, it's a lot closer. We're only ahead by a couple of points, where the polls show we're ahead by about 10 points overall. But among likely voters, it's much closer. That means our unlikely voters need to get off their duff and get out there and vote and get their friends to vote, because that's the only way we're going to make a difference here. You know, we need to work for global cannabis freedom, and that's what this event is about. We want to end adult marijuana prohibition and restore industrial hemp for all the many things that industrial hemp does. Key among those is energy. We think that when marijuana is legal, we'll be driving most of our cars on hemp seed oil most of the time, on the world's most productive biodiesel resource. And the byproduct from that is food. An acre of hemp, according to a study out of University of Southern Illinois that was published in Notre Dame back in '74, an acre of hemp, wild hemp, feral hemp here in the United States, will produce 8,500 pounds of seeds per acre. When you press that, you get over 300 gallons of oil per acre. That's 6 barrels of oil per acre, just from a cold pressing of the seed. And the residue out of that 8,500 pounds of seeds is 6,000 pounds of high-protein hemp seed meal. So if we start driving our cars on hemp fuel, the waste product will wipe out world hunger. It's really a miracle plant. I believe that hemp and cannabis are the greatest gift from our Mother Earth, from the Creator. And it's our job to bring that back. And it's going to take us all educating our fellow Americans and getting out there and voting. So I urge you, if you're not registered to vote, go over to the THCF booth over here and register to vote. We have a petition over there that will legalize marijuana here in Oregon in 2012. We're gathering some sponsorship signatures on that. So if you are a registered voter here in Oregon, go right over to the THCF booth, which is right over there, corner, and sign that petition. You know, I want to, in closing, urge you folks to work for global cannabis freedom, to help those people in Malaysia who are sentenced to death and they're going to hang and their families are left there to deal with that, to help the people like Mark Emery and Eddie Lepp, who've spoken on this stage, so they aren't incarcerated and aren't left in jail. We need to work for global cannabis freedom. To help our Mother Earth, the web of life, all the plants and animals on this planet, we need to restore balance to the energy industry, and hemp will do that. The way we can help that is to work for global cannabis freedom. And for those of our brothers and sisters who have fallen on the way, like Jack Hare, who last year suffered a eventually fatal heart attack right here at our Hempstalk Festival, gave his last speech right here on this stage. And for Dr. Todd McArea, who helped push medical marijuana and spoke for the first 2 years on this stage. For all of our brothers and sisters who've fallen along the way, I urge you to work for global cannabis freedom. Help us restore hemp. It's the healing of the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul Stanford.